Hello and welcome back to my LEGO Castle Kingdom, where I've now made a start on the castle itself by building the Gatehouse, which will serve as the main entrance. This is what I've been working on for the last couple of weeks, and it's a very important part of the castle, so I wanted to make sure that I got it right. And I think it looks really fantastic in the background of the buildings, and I've also managed to include a working portcullis and drawbridge that can both be raised up and lowered to defend the castle against attackers. And that's also a really cool mechanism, and I can't wait to show you some more of that. So let's temporarily remove this gatehouse to take a better look at it. Okay, so here's what the gatehouse looks like by itself, and this way it's just a bit easier to show you all of the details up close. So let's begin by focusing on the mechanism for the portcullis and drawbridge. To help demonstrate how it works, let's grab this knight on horseback who looks like he wants to enter the castle. So to do that, all he has to do is ride up onto the drawbridge and then signal to the gatekeeper to raise the portcullis. And with the portcullis raised, he has plenty of headroom to ride on through into the main courtyard of the castle. So let's get him through the doors there. And that's another layer of security. You can also close the two massive doors over at the back there. And then once everyone's inside, the portcullis can be lowered again with the flick of a switch. So that's nice and simple and smooth. But let's say the castle comes under attack, and in that case they're going to need a bit of extra protection, and that's where the drawbridge comes in. This can also be raised using the chains built into the wall until the entrance is fully sealed shut to offer complete protection from any attackers. And what's especially neat is they work independently to each other. So that means it works either way around, whether you lower the portcullis first and then raise the drawbridge, or raise the portcullis and then raise the drawbridge. Because these are two completely separate systems, so either one can be raised first. This also looks really interesting from the back. It's really immersive. It's like you're actually inside the castle, looking out, especially with the drawbridge raising shut and sealing that area off. I think if you're a minifigure, you'd feel really nice and secure. And that also looks really interesting zoomed out here. The portcullis and the drawbridge also work really well from basically any angle that you're standing in. And this is a good time to take a look at the actual Technic mechanism which makes up each of these elements. Because as you can imagine, the main part of the mechanism is hidden within this tower over in the top half there. But then you also have things such as some of the motors and the battery blocks which drive the portcullis and the gate hidden away in that section over to the side there. So here's what's inside, and as you can see it's actually a very simple mechanism. And that's because it's based on real life medieval drawbridges and portcullis mechanisms. So you have two logs, one for the drawbridge and one for the portcullis, and they have chains attached to them. So basically when I activate the drawbridge, for example, that winds the chains around, and you can see that the chains go up these channels over at the back there, and of course go back down again when the drawbridge is lowered, and same thing for the portcullis, which I've geared up to be a whole lot quicker. So much like the real life version, this LEGO design is a very simple but effective solution, and you can see how that basically works the same way for each of those elements. And there's a look at that from another side, so you can see it looks really cool with the chain wrapping around there and unwinding as it goes the opposite direction. And it was actually quite a challenge getting these chains to go through a one stud space. You see, I've had to build little guide rails that basically guide the chains through a one stud gap. But that works out really nicely, and I've just basically guided them using some round Technic beams that adjust the position of each of these chains until they slide up through these chutes on the side, and then it works the same way, where it just guides them back down through the holes at the bottom there. So that's a really neat little solution. And then these are the two motors which drive this system over on the end here. They connect up to a battery box that's usually hidden away in the wall. And what's interesting about this is this is actually two separate gearboxes in a very tight space. So you'll see that big gear is part of the Drawbridge, and the small gear is for the Portcullis. And there's actually a few more gears hidden away in the back there. You can see them if I activate some of these. And that was a real challenge trying to get everything fitted into the wall like that. Finally, to connect all of this together, I've got a simple infrared receiver installed in the middle here, and combined with a power functions and remote control, that's what allows me to remotely activate each of these things. And because I need a line of sight to this infrared receiver, I've disguised an opening using this cool arch section, which is built out of a bunch of hinge pieces, as well as some Technic bricks and some jumper plates attached along the inside of this arch. So that creates a little balcony, and you can see there's a perfect spot right in the middle for the infrared receiver to poke out of and receive the signal on the back. And same thing around the front, except this time I've disguised the gap for the infrared receiver with this neat selection of emblems on shields representing the different allies to the king who lives in this castle. And you can see the infrared receiver poking out of the top there, just behind that. And even this small gap makes a huge difference, being able to remote control this mechanism from all the way back here. And while we're here, we might as well finish looking at the actual architecture of this building, because as you can see, the whole thing is built on a 45-degree angle. Well, actually you have a standard stud connection over here with these two towers on the corner, and then it's actually this bit in the middle, the main part which houses the mechanism, which is built at the 45-degree angle. But that just basically varies it up and makes it a bit more unusual than having a standard rectangular tower. And for the actual texture of the walls, you can see for this bottom layer, I've gone for these massive stone bricks, because my thinking here is it makes sense to have the largest and therefore strongest stone bricks on the bottom level of the wall, since this is the area that would withstand the most damage during attacks and invasions, while using the slightly smaller regular sized stone bricks for the rest of the structure. And you can see they just continue up on all the sides using a combination of standard 1x2 tiles, 1x1s, and these ingot pieces over in the middle for some extra variation and decoration. And same thing with these arrow slots, they also look really cool, add a bit of depth to the interior, and also give the archers a safe place to shoot out of in case they need to protect the castle. Then the only other details in this middle section are this lion statue above all of the shields, which includes some of these clip pieces which represent a little crown on top of the lion. I thought that was a good location to add that. And then these two arches over here, and they are actually part of the castle's machicolations. So these are the small holes over on the top of the walkway on the battlements, and you can see they allow the soldiers on top to drop boiling sand and water down on any potential attackers all the way at the bottom of the castle. So those machicolations are just a really cool, realistic, historic touch. And then there's also some steps leading up to this top area, which is just slightly raised to account for the mechanism inside, along with a small wooden hatch that provides access to this level. And then as for the details over around the back, let's start on the ground floor, and this includes a couple of torches on the walls, and then here we get to some of the rooms in the interior. So here's a little set of stables with some horses inside, and a little feeder with a carrot sitting in there. And then I'm experimenting with this interesting roof design. This is made out of the Lego diver flipper pieces, and I thought that looks quite cool. I'm sure I've seen this technique used elsewhere before, and I'm going to need to order a few more flippers to finish that off, but that just creates a really nice and simple shingle roof. And then for the rooms above there, they just continue that stonework effect, which is quite simple but effective. And then I already showed off that middle section, which looks very cool. And then this bit over here includes a little door to get inside, with a candelabra over in the corner there. And the idea is this is actually going to lead to another section of the castle, and I'll show you a bit more of what I mean once I put this gatehouse back. And then over in the corner you can just about see in the dark a ladder which leads up to the next floor. And in this case this is filled up with the battery box and the motors over on this side, so there's not too much over on these floors, but I have included some interior details on this side. And each of these rooms include removable floors to allow us to have a better look inside. So let's begin with this floor, directly above the stables. And this includes some more equipment related to the stables, such as some barrels of hay over there, some cleaning brushes and buckets, and some horse riding equipment and saddles over on this wall. So I thought that's just related to the horses over there, and if you want to see how to get up there, this is basically mirrored on the other side. So you have the small ladder which goes up to this floor, and then another ladder which goes up to the next floor, and so on. And then for the next level, this is actually the office for the gatehouse keeper. So he's busy at his desk writing a log of all of the people who have come through the gate today. And these arrow slits also look really cool from the inside. They look just like they do in real life castles, and that provides a nice bit of light and a good view for the gatehouse keeper, who's also got a lantern to help during his night watch, and another candelabra in the corner of that room. And that about finishes up the gatehouse. The other new things in my layout include a bit of landscaping over at the front of the gatehouse. So I've made a start on some of the rocks and the path that will eventually lead up to the drawbridge. Although this bit is still very unfinished, there's still a lot to do. And I'm still playing around with the direction that the path is going to go in, but I think this little curve is going to be quite good for fitting such a high elevation in such a small space. Because if you think about it from a minifigure's perspective, that is quite a big gap to bridge. But this is all a work in progress, and maybe I'll get some more done on that next time. And I also want to show you some of my other ideas for the actual castle now that I have the gatehouse in place. I'm thinking of including a couple of towers on either side of it, maybe different styles, but I think that'll look quite good, framing that actual gatehouse in between them. And then my ideas for the rest of the castle is actually split into two sections. So behind this gatehouse, if I go around this side, obviously there's that courtyard which you can just about see over on the top there, and I'm thinking of extending it out to here, and that will be where the tower will go, maybe some more walls. But then right behind the courtyard I'm going to have some more of the mountain go up, and then that's where the keep is going to be located. So that will be the main building of the castle, and I'm aiming for that to be even taller than this gatehouse, because if you think about it, this bit is just the front door of the castle. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the scale that I'm going for. So lots of exciting things to come, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you always know when the latest episodes are available. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this look at the gatehouse, and if you did, then give this video a like, and also let me know if you'd be interested in seeing how to build tutorial for the working drawbridge and portcullis. As always, a big thank you to all of my supporters on Patreon for helping to make my videos possible, and you too can join me on Patreon for exclusive bonus videos, behind the scenes content, and even more exciting benefits, including your name here in the credits of my videos. I'd really appreciate your support, and the link to join me on Patreon will be in the description below. I'll see you guys next time with more LEGO creations, and thanks for watching.